So when I thought about joining IMDEA, what really convinced me is the excellent mix between scientific excellence and practical impact. And first of all, when I heard about the position, I didn't know much about IMDEA before. I decided to come and interview, and what really convinced me was the excellence of the researchers. We have outstanding scientists with very good research topics, and I was surprised by the quality of our scientific council. This really sort of are researchers of the highest standing worldwide. I was impressed to see that they were on the scientific council of IMDEA Networks. And then afterwards, when I heard about the conditions, the nice balance between, on the one hand side, full research freedom to choose whatever research topic you like, and at the same time, the emphasis on scientific quality and achieving practical impact with that research. That was exactly what I was looking for in terms of my future research career, and that was 10 years ago, so obviously I liked it a lot and decided to stay and continue my research career here at IMDEA. So I come from a background where I've worked both in academia. I worked for EPFL in Switzerland before, and I've worked for industry, NTT Docomo in Germany, the large Japanese telecom operator. And what I was looking for is something in between. Obviously, in industry research, you're constrained to whatever is the research direction of the company. And universities are fantastic, they do excellent research, but what I was looking for is sort of something in between, where on the one hand side you have a focus on applications and joint projects with industry, and you have freedom to do top quality research. And that's really sort of what attracted me to IMDEA Networks, to find a balance between those two worlds. So I think we've managed to achieve an excellent mix between training researchers, where we have a large group of PhD students. They are really the ones who do most of the actual sort of details of the research. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do anything at all. And at the same time, given the environment and that we do research really at the forefront of technology, of course, for them, that's also an excellent way of really being prepared to go into industry later on and participate in very demanding research projects. Now, in terms of attracting talent to the region of Madrid, I think we've fully succeeded in terms of how international our researchers are, the PhD students, the postdocs, the professors. I don't recall the exact numbers, but it was tens of different countries. I think we have, over the course of IMDEA's existence, 30, 40 different countries, which for any country is an outstanding achievement, especially for Spain. I think this really shows the excellence of the research centers, that we're able to attract talent from so many different regions. So I think there are two very strong points. On the one hand side, it's the internationalization. And if you look specifically in my field, computer science, and which institutes are known at a worldwide level, participate in the best conferences, publish in the best journals, IMDEA Networks is there. And I think that's really sort of a very, very strong plus point. We've really shown that we're able to attract the people that can execute research at an international level that is comparable to any of those countries that do excellent research. Other European countries, the US, we basically do research at the same level. And at the same time, what I think is a very, very important strong point is the full academic freedom that we have, that we manage to attract the best researchers because we have the conditions that allow them to pursue whatever research they believe is the most important one to do right now. And that's something that you don't have in many places, and that's a very, very important strong point. So I'm very happy with my current line of research that basically originated from an ERC consolidator grant that I received a few years back. And I now work on high-frequency millimeter wave communications, which I think is one of the most important components for future very high-speed networks. It's an important part of current 5G mobile networks that are being rolled out and where millimeter wave plays an important role. And it will become even more important for future 6G networks. And in my view, it's really one of the only ways to vastly increase network capacity for future applications that have much, much higher demands. And out of this research now comes a slightly different line of research that looks at communication and sensing. So initially, wireless communication is to transfer vast amounts of data. Now what we're seeing more and more is also that the way these signals propagate tells you a lot about the environment. So you can sense where the walls of a room are. You can sense what people are doing inside of a room. You can do activity recognition, person recognition, build location systems. So these wireless signals offer you so much more than just communication. And you get it for free just by having communication, wireless communication going on. You observe all of these things about the environment. And this is extremely critical for a lot of applications in industry automation, Industry 4.0, in healthcare, personalizing healthcare, in vehicular communication for autonomous vehicles, for drones, and so on. So based on the current research on high-speed mobile communication, massive MIMO, but also joint communication and sensing, what we will look at for the future is going to even higher frequencies. And that's very interesting because on the one hand side, those are the only frequencies that allow even faster communication, provide even more accurate view, an even more accurate view about the environment. But at the same time, at these extremely high frequencies, going beyond 100 gigahertz to the terahertz bands, it's very difficult to design reliable and efficient communication protocols and hardware, and that is going to be our research focus for the coming decade. In terms of collaborations among the IMDEA Institutes, of course, that's an important strong point, that we have various different topics, but some overlap between the different institutes where we can collaborate. So for example, for IMDEA Networks, we are close to IMDEA Energy, IMDEA Software, and have topics in common. For example, we looked at energy networks and how to make smart, grids smarter. And that also involves networking aspects. On the one hand side, how grids are structured, and on the one hand, and on the other hand, how communication is necessary to make the grid smarter and provide information where it's needed. With IMDEA Software, we have strong collaboration points in terms of privacy and cybersecurity, which obviously involves networks, but at the same time also all these software engineering issues that IMDEA Software is working on, how to make code reliable and robust. And so there have been quite a number of collaboration points between researchers from IMDEA Software and researchers from IMDEA Networks. Now obviously some other topics are much further removed with IMDEA food and water, for example. So far, unfortunately, we did not have any collaborations, but I think that's also a point to strengthen in the future. There are certainly more overlapping topics between what we do on the wireless networking side and, for example, what IMDEA Materials and Nanoscience are doing in terms of designing the materials and the nanoscience technologies required for such communication systems. I think there are opportunities for further collaborations that haven't been explored yet. And so one of the important tasks at IMDEA is also technology transfer, and that happens in various different forms. For example, by generating IPR, creating patents, of which the IMDEAs have quite a number over the past decade. But also other forms like writing software, licensing software, or other forms of IPR to industries, because some of the platforms that we create are also very valuable as experimentation platforms. But also creation of startups, which we think is a very important way to generate impact and bring ideas from research to actual products or services that can be useful for the general public. So I think the IMDEA initiative is extremely important, exactly to provide a third pillar between industry research and academic research at the universities. And this research, I think, is extremely important. Not that many countries do it. It used to happen more in the past. There were many more research labs like IMDEA, and unfortunately, many countries decided not to continue with that. And I think that's a grave mistake. So I can only hope that here in Spain we continue to support the IMDEA initiative, and of course ideally we should grow, because I believe for a country to succeed and to make sure that it plays at the forefront, participates in cutting-edge research, which is in my view the only thing that in the future is going to decide about how well an economy does. Are you participating in the most advanced research projects? We see that machine learning is extremely important in all sorts of applications, services, and without the research to basically drive such an innovation from within the country, it will be extremely difficult. So I can only hope that the IMDEAs continue to be as strong as they currently are and ideally grow further in the next 10, 20, 30 years.